I've been trying to do a lot of these different these little platforms, right? So I could restream to different platforms. Everybody yells at me on YouTube. Everybody yells at me on Instagram whenever I don't stream on there. So I just say, you know what? Let's just go live. I'm trying to, sometimes I get lost trying to figure out these damn technology anymore. But hello, everyone. How we doing? Thank you for tuning in on the live stream. I got the camera right here. I'm trying to use my camera from my MacBook and on Instagram. So hello, Jenny, Sarah, I see you. Hey, Mikey, Phoenix, how we doing today on today's Monday? Tell you what, definitely did not stay up for that that Steeler game. I was passed the fuck out. Let's just say that. So also, before we get started, this Gatorade Fit. I don't know if you can see this Gatorade Fit. First time seeing it, 100% daily vitamins, A, C, B3, B, this, that, and the third A. Spending my lunch break with you. Jenny, I love that. Welcome, because we're going to get into some good topics today. And it all stems from a conversation I got this morning from a lady and an individual who we were talking to. And I hate to put her on blast, but I'll tell you what, it was a good topic because I think it's something that we all relate to. Is the fear of really and not only investing into yourself, but something is holding you back externally from reaching the goals that you want to attain, right? And let me know in the chat if you've been there. Lisa, hey, how we doing? Let me know if you've ever been there, right? Is that you've always wanted to start something, you always wanted to do something, but then you realize in the back of your head, you're like, well, something. Is it for me? Is somebody going to think of me? Is something going to do this, right? It's all these thoughts that we put inside of our head. And what's really holding us back from reaching these goals, right? What's really actually holding us back? And that's what I want to talk about today. So it came up with a conversation I had with a client or with a potential client. We were talking in the DMs and she mentioned, Nick, I see all of your client results. I see what you do with your clients. I see all these things that's been going on. And, it's one of those things that, I really think this program or it could really work for me, and I said, okay, well, talk to me. She said, I show up to your yoga classes. I do it. It's, I really like your style, really like your vibe. What's going on? And we talked about 30, 40 minutes about differently things that, that we can change. Not only that I can help her change, that she was saying essentially she could change herself. And she said, you know what? Once we got into it, she said, I'm really afraid to and get into this because I'm afraid of what my husband's going to think of me. Right. And it hit me. Why are we so attached to other people's perception of yourself? Right. The only thought that really matters is yourself, is your own self-thought. Right. And it's your job and it's your responsibility as a person, even if you're a mother, you're somebody, a caretaker, whatever it is that you are, a human being, that you have the obligation to better yourself. Doesn't care what anybody thinks about you, doesn't care about what path they're on, because let's be real, we're all individuals, right? And we all have our own separate journeys that we go on. Right. And sometimes we don't even know the journey we're going on until it actually happens. Right. And the thing is often when we look at it, the obstacle that is standing in between you right now and where you want to go is yourself when it comes down to it. Right. And so we realize what actually is it when we start breaking it down. And number one goal is often the fear of failure. Let's be real. We've all been there, myself included, because as I started thinking about her conversation, I started thinking about my own insecurities, right? At this point, I've spent damn near $16,000, almost $17,000 on personal development, whether this is from mentors throughout the year, so far this year, right? And every time I made this purchase, I was like, shit, how much is the course? Oh my God. I don't know, but I know that it was good for me. But also what would often hold me back is the fear of me not being able to complete said course, me not being able to complete the coaching or the mentoringship. But I tell you what, whenever it came to me buying my MacBook, which was $3,000, I had no problem paying the $3,000. And I worried about the cost later, right? And it's so weird that when it comes down to investing into yourself, rather than, buying that shiny object, we kind of, it's like we almost justify it, right? We almost justify that purchase. But when it comes into ourself, and I'm like, holy shit, I've spent how much? I was just doing my taxes. That's why I was looking. And I couldn't believe exactly what it, really what it came into. And I wondered, like, every time I went into it, was it because I feared that I was going to fail? I mean, I don't have the money all like that. It's not like that, right? I'm doing this because I'm betting on myself, right? And so then I thought about it. A lot of times it really comes down to betting on yourself, right? Because I think a lot of times when we fail at something in particular, right? Whether it's like going after that new job you wanted and maybe it wasn't the job you want, and then you should have stayed at the other job. Come on, we've all been there. If it's starting a fitness program where it's like, I'm ready, I'm going to do it, and life got in the way, and you're like, oh, fuck, this is always happens to me. This is how it always happens. And every time you do it, it always like it's this, it's that, And then we stop realizing that really what's holding you back is you. It's ourselves. It's because we put this undue pressure, this self-limiting belief that we have to be perfect, that we have to do these things in order. They got to be exactly as it said. You do this and I got to go ahead. And it doesn't work like that. Like, let's be real, people. We got to give ourselves a break. And this is something that I've been dealing with for the last 2 weeks, right? A lot of you know that I came back from vacation. And I came back from vacation, maybe spent a little bit too much money, also invested into a coaching program, also realized that I am out of my element, right? Because it takes a little bit to get back into motivation. And so I decided, I got to do all this. I got to do all that. I'm not going to reach the goals that I wanted to attain for myself and what I wanted to hold up for my clients. And so I started putting all this undue pressure on myself. And I said, look, failure, like when you look at failure, it's not a reflection of like really your worth, your ability, where you're at right now. It's really when you look at like kind of starting over, it's almost like a necessary part of growth. Like I always feel like you need to, I always say the analogy. I know if you're watching, the stock analogy, every good stock goes up, but pulls back and then goes up. But it's almost like you got to get momentum. You got to hit it and then be like, shit. And then get brought back down to earth because you got to see how much you really want it. Where a lot of times people just stop, right? Is that like that first roadblock, that first thing that comes up in life? Because let's be real, I've been there many fucking times. If you've ever known my story, right? Every time something starts going good, it, boom, brings you back down to earth. And honestly, I thought it was just me until I realized that, you know what? This is pretty much everybody. Everybody deals with this. And so let me know in the chat if you've ever tried to start something and you never started it because you're like, I don't even think I'm going to be able to complete this. But then if you think about that, I want you to believe that seeing that failure or seeing that maybe that obstacle is not looking at it as a way where you look at it as like, this is always happens to me. And I always say it's like you look at every failure you've used, and I say this to a lot of my clients, even when we're in our coaching calls, is that it makes you gives you that much more ability for the next time you do it, right? Every time you fail, it's not a stopping point. It's just giving you more ammunition, more skills, more development so that the next time you do it, you figure out what actually works best for you, right? Maybe the first time you went a little too hard, right? And then it's like, shit. But then when you start reverse engineering a lot of these things that ended up happening to you, realize that you were sometimes, most of the time, 99% of the time, in control, right? So when we look back, what's really holding us back from our goals, if it's the fear of failure, like it is for me many a times whenever I invest into myself, it's because we're setting ourselves up for failure, right? And the thing is it's in us. So it's in you. So if you can realize that it's actually me, it's not you, or like every other thing that we try to place the blame onto, it's not me, it's not the coaching program, or it's not the cost of it, because a lot of times we spend the money elsewhere or we spend the time elsewhere doing whatever it is that we're trying to get into. But it's the actual result that we might fail, and that's scary. And the thing is that's unknown. And so I want you to think is just take messy action, right? If there's that one thing, what's that one thing that you've been trying to do that you don't want to do, but maybe you're like, shit, I might fail at it. Take messy action, take those little steps and get yourself into a position where you can actually do this. And this is something that we talk about on a weekly basis with in our coaching programs on Saturdays, right? But it's also, we also got to think, is it the self-belief that you can actually even do it, right? It's one thing to say that you'll fail, but doing it, but getting yourself up off the couch is often the hardest part, right? Because I always say this as well, is like, we have three types of people, right? When it comes down to it, we have people who sit on the audience, right? And we watch from the outside and we cheer people on and we go, yes, they got it. I love that. And that's basically like us watching a TV show, watching somebody like, The Biggest Loser, or I hate to use that analogy, but we're cheering on their success, right? We want to see them do good. But then there comes a point where it's like, well, we want to actually get involved, right? So maybe this is you volunteering for a race. Like you actually volunteered, you get yourself into the race. You might not actually want to run the fucking race because let's be real, I don't want to run a 5K. Some of you do. Some of you guys are crazy and you run marathons every day. But that's not me. But maybe that gets you into the point where you actually now are volunteering. You're not watching from the sidelines. You're involved, but you're not actually there, right? But then there becomes a point in time where you just say, I want to do that, right? But there's phases to that position, right? You don't just start from getting on the couch watching and then saying, I'm going to go and hurry up and run, because when you do that, you ended up getting yourself burned out. But a lot of times it's the lack of self-belief, because when you do something like that, when you put yourself into a position where you can see yourself succeed, you start to realize that, oh, there's other people that are doing this, just that were doing the same shit with me. Most of my clients that I see right now, busy individuals, whether or not they're taking care of kids, whether or not they're taking care of patients, nurses, doctors, you name it. Everybody always, we have the belief that we can help others, but then we often believe that we don't have the help in ourselves, because the realization is that the fear of failure is often like right next to the lack of belief in yourself. I've dealt with this for decades of my life, right? Many years of my life. And the thing is self-doubt is a fucking powerful force, right? Because it could either spin you in that direction where you never actually ever take action, or it could take you into the other direction where you use that as fuel, right? Because if you don't actually believe that you can achieve something, you're unlikely to ever really give it your full effort, right? Like if you think that you're never going to be able to achieve it, why would you even start, right? Well, I mean, come on now, right? Why would we ever start? But the thing is like when you don't believe in yourself, every challenge feels like like you are running up a marathon, right? And I feel that like when we realize where basically the lack of self-belief comes into, and this creeps into my mind all the time, is the negative self-talk that we put into ourselves, right? Like I think a lot of times it's like when we're so fixed on that fixed mindset that we're not actually focused on the growth of what we can be. We're so combative of the person we're going to be. Marie, what you say? I'm overweight from hormone and thyroid issue. I want to live a healthier life, and the thing is instead of, and I'm sure you've probably thought of a million different ways you got to do it, right? I got to get some steps in. I got to be on a calorie deficit. I got to eat protein. I'm seeing all this people don't eat processed food. Then the next person says it's okay. And then the next person says you got to run, and then your wheels are spinning. You just don't know, what do I do? Right. And the thing is you just got to, this is actually for you. Start believing in yourself that you can do it. Right. And just take the little things that come up. The first thing that comes up to mind that you need to change, is it nutrition? Is it working out? Is it mindset? That's what you start with. Right. And then you go ahead and you give it the time and effort that it needs, because let's be real, it's not an overnight thing. It's not a 6-week challenge. It's not an 8-week challenge. It's not a 12-week challenge. It's a fucking lifestyle thing that we have to believe in. And the thing is lack of self-belief always comes and goes, like in waves. All of these things come and go in waves, right? And I don't want you to think, oh, this guy, who the hell, what does he know? He's got it all figured out. No, I'm coming from a place where this is what I've been going through, right? My whole entire life. And so when I come up with these topics for on live stream, I've been there, done it, and I think a lot of times a lot of people are still going through it. And so when we think that like we don't have be like the position where like, oh fuck, I'm not good enough for this, or like I can't do this, or like this program is whoa, I can't. What you want me to do? Huh? I gotta do, Nick, you're crazy. But the inner dialogue is where we got to change. We got to start believing in ourselves that we can do this, right? I came from parents are alcoholics, drug addicts. Town was full of shit. Every opportunity, I've seen friends die in front of me, right? I've seen all of these different things where I was never supposed to be able to do anything for myself. And a lot of people are in the same positions. Maybe you're in a job that you don't like. Maybe you're in a place where you don't like, a town you don't like. And the thing is a lot of times when you're in that, you're seeing a lot of those same people, a lot of that same energy. You start believing that this is just how life is. And that's one of the worst places that we can be in, because let's be real, that keeps us stuck, right? That becomes a inner dialogue that we tell ourselves, and then we don't realize. I think there was a stat that I saw a while ago. It was like most people don't leave out of the 30-mile vicinity of where they were born. And like, I thought about that because I was talking to a client who was in Europe, and she was like, Nick, Europe is this and that and this and that. I'm like, you know what? I've never even been there, but I've been to different states, and it's definitely different culture wise. And, then you start thinking, wow, a lot of people don't leave the vicinity that they're in to see that there is actually more out there. And so like, I really encourage people to really step out of their comfort zone and try to do something something extraordinary for yourself, even if it's something simple, right? Maybe it is just getting up off the couch for the first time. Maybe it's not spending 4 hours on the weekend binge watching your TV. Maybe it's actually going for a walk and then coming back and doing, set goal. Who's texting me right now? Get out of here. So it's one of those things that I think whenever we go into, really diving into the deepness of where we are as individuals, what can we do to actually overcome that, right? What can we do to make ourselves believe in ourselves? And I think a lot of times it starts by rewriting the story that you tell yourselves every day, right? The thing is what's holding you back from reaching the goals is you. Plain and simple. It's you. And the thing is we have to realize that we also have the chance to build ourselves back up. Everybody does, right? And it's never too late to start, right? I always think that like when people reach out to me, they're like, Nick, I want to join your coaching program. Like, this is going to be something for me. How long is it? How much is it? What do I have to do? What are the requirements? And then you realize like, oh, wait, I don't have to change my whole life at once. Wait, I can do it. You work with me at one step at a time. Oh my God, this is crazy. But I think a lot of times we don't take the initiative to actually go ahead and make the investment or reach out and say, hey, I want to invest in myself, or hey, I do need help, because you know what? I want to be there for my kids, or I want to be there for my family. I want to be there for my people. Right. And, Jenny, what'd you say? 100% all this. I was at a job for 8 years. Started a month ago. It's a big step up. Everybody's supportive except the voice in my head. See? And it's so hard to shake that voice. Like, let's be real. Like, it's so hard because when we think about it, like, because that's what we keep telling ourselves. That's what we've told ourselves forever. It's what we've told ourselves for year in, year out, that like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me as the new girl or the new person, or, I don't deserve this for me. Right. And the thing is like, that's all inside of you. That's all the mindset. Literally, because that's what we call fixed mindset in psychology. We call that fixed mindset, right? Woe is me. Nothing's ever going to change. I was brought up like this. My family's always been like this. This is how it's always been. It's generation. It's genetic, right? Those are all bullshit excuses that we tell ourselves. Because let's be real, you have the opportunity to change, because I've seen it happen. I've done it. I've seen other people have done it, right? And the thing is you don't do it perfect. It's not a perfection, right? It's a thing over time. And that's what's always weird, is that I think like when we do the stuff over time, it's setting ourselves up for realistic expectations, right? And I think that's the third thing that I really want to talk about and finish on, is that we set ourselves up for unrealistic expectations, right? Maybe when we start a program, I know for me, my coaching program that, like I said, I spent $15,000 over the last year for my coaching program. And this is where a lot of this resonates with, right? Is that I was telling myself, like, damn, I'm seeing all these other people in the program succeed. Like, why not me? Like, what the hell? I'm seeing all these people kicking ass. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're having why not me? I'm putting in the time, I'm putting in the work, I'm putting in the effort. Like, what the hell? But then I realized these people been in the group or in the program for 2 to 3 years. These people had a head start. How can I basically compare myself to somebody I'm just getting in, just starting, to somebody who's already been in it for 2.5 years? You can't. And a lot of times we do that. We go to the gym, we see the biggest, guy for a guy. We see the most jacked girl with the fattest ass. She looks lean. And we're like, damn, I'm gonna be like that by like next week. And damn well you're setting yourself up for failure, because she's been at it, he's been at it for years. But the thing is they all started in the same position as beginners. And so I think we got to realize that we got to encourage ourselves to be beginners, right? I think we got to encourage ourselves to just start over and be able to, like, really shed that skin that is not what we want to, the person that we don't want to be anymore, right? We got to be able to shed that person, get out and become the person that you actually want to be. Because once you start doing that, you realize that, again, you were the only person that was holding yourself back from your goals. So then now you have the opportunity to change and get out of your way, right? Because let's be real, instant gratification isn't what we're striving for. However, we want results. Like, don't be real. We all want results. We want results now. Let's be like, but a lot of times that's the illusion that keeps you fixed and chasing and chasing and chasing, instead of finding something that is actually sustainable, that's going to work with you. And that's the problem, right? And that's what I'm here to change, right? And that's why I'm here. Oh, Jenny, I appreciate you. Thanks for the badge. I don't even know how that works, but I appreciate that. But I think, like, even social media, right? I'm on social media. I'm apparently now changing over my way business is to become more on social media, right? This was never something I thought it was. It's like, oh my gosh. I always told myself, if I had 10,000 followers, that would be great. Get out of your own way. Exactly. That's exactly it, right? Get out of your own way, because we don't need to set ourselves up for failure. There's enough shit going on in the world. We need to be able to say, hey, let's do our thing. Let's do what we need to do here, and stop comparing ourselves to other people and other things and where they start, and think that that's where we're going to be at in a couple of weeks, right? Oh, that person's been at it for 5 years, 6 years, but I'm going to start, and that's exactly what's going to happen to me, right? And I fall victim to that all the time, right? And most people do. But again, I think social media has a very big problem with this, right? And as somebody who's on social media making content, showing before and afters and stuff, right? Like, it's so hard, because online you have to show that you're not just bullshitting, right? I think as somebody who's a coach, as it's my obligation, if I know I can help you, I'm going to reach out and be like, hey, do you need help, right? That's why I do these live streams. That's why I do this thing. I guess that's the reason why we've grown so much. But as a coach, as an exercise physiologist, as somebody who wants to help people, my job, and it's my obligation to help you, right? If I know I can help you, it's my obligation to do that. And I think a lot of times when you're looking at social media, I hate to say it, but like it sets up images for us that are unrealistic. Like it really does. Like, I know a lot of times, like, I put up my before and after photos of clients, that's just this, to show people, hey, really celebrate their success and what they've been able to do and been able to accomplish. But also it shows people that, hey, like, I'm not just somebody making videos. Like, I'm actually helping people. And actually I got about 25 clients right now. changing their lives, right? Whether it be mindset, health, nutrition, the way their energy levels are, getting them out of pain. Like this is what I love to do. This is why I wake up and do it. But it's also a lot of times those expectations are unrealistic. Nick, I just had surgery. My knee has been replaced. I need exercises. I went to PT. It didn't work. What can we do? I can't do lunges. I can't do squats. I can't do half of the shit that you're saying in your videos. But the best part is that I'm able to work with these individuals and get you to the place that you want to be. My one client, she just lost 15 pounds. We were looking over from on our call, our coaching call. We were looking at where she was in the very beginning and looking at her diet from before and looking at it after. And Sarah, I don't want to put you on blast, but you know what it is. Like we were able to see, like, damn, there's growth here. Like there's significant growth, even though you don't think it's like, shit, woe is me. But then like we actually compare it and see, this is what you were doing in April. This is what you're doing here now. You could be, well, I guess there is some changes. Like I was just eating whatever the fuck I wanted. Now I'm not, because we have it structured, and I realized that there's a goal to where I want to be. Right. And I think, again, people, like, it's not necessarily about that. And I get these messages all the time. Nick, I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. How do I do it? Right. And I could give you the game plan. I can give you everything that you need to do to get yourself to the position that you need to be in. But you got to realize that I can't care about your goals more than you, right? You got to actually care about your goals more than I do, right? Lisa, just started watching you and following you. I'm trying to figure out what I can do. I love that, right? Lisa, there's a lot of things that you could do, right? But starting small, right? There's so much free material, I think, out there nowadays, which also gets overwhelming because you get into like a tyranny of choice. It's like, who do I follow? Do I follow the girl who's got the fattest ass? Or do I follow the guy who's totally shredded? Do I follow this? Do I follow that? But you also got to realize you got to follow somebody who's actually going to work with you to where you're at, right? Everybody's going to be different. Most of my clientele are in their 40s, mid 30s, in their 40s, 50s, have at least maybe 1 to 2 surgeries, maybe a couple health ailments, maybe some things that they need to address. And the problem is it's not really that they're looking for aesthetics. We're more looking for to live, right, longer. And I think a lot of times when you go through that on Mounjaro, going the weight loss program at the hospital, see, I got a couple clients who are on the Mounjaro, but they, all those weight loss programs are just, they're just like, all right, this is how many doses you take. Hopefully they actually give you some coaching and some teaching. But from some of the clients that I've talked to, and they've gone to those clinics and they just say, here's the shot, off you go. And there's no real education on what you need to do, right? And so I think that's the, again, the marketing aspect. It has a real big play on that, right? Because they see, this person's making this goal, this person's losing that, this person's losing this. But then we don't want to necessarily bite off, again, more than we could chew. No pun intended. The thing is that we have to realize that if we want to make these lasting changes, you want to make some changes, you actually want to reach the goals that you want to achieve, it's a marathon. It's not an overnight thing. Like, I'm actually remodeling the way that I do business here, and getting rid of the 16-week type of programs, because I'm starting to notice that it's not enough time, right? It's got to be at least 4, 5, 6 months till we actually start. I mean, you're going to see results, but like, I want you to actually make a transformation. I'm not in here for just some quick, some quick fixes. If you want to lose 10 pounds, we could do 10 pounds, but I'm actually trying to help you change your life. Right. And I think there's something more to that. And again, if anybody's ever wants to reach out, holler at me, new me, DM me, new me, and we could talk about what you're going through and really start to make a game plan to get you the goals that you're trying to attain, right? You see it on my, you can just click through my client wins. You could talk to some of my clients. I'm going to actually start trying to bribe my clients to go live with me on Wednesdays. So if you're watching, you might be getting a message here soon. See if you can go live, just so people know that I'm actually, I really actually coach people. I lost 24 pounds in a month. That is scary. I don't want to do that. 24 pounds in a month is a little excessive, Lisa. So let's make sure that you're not doing a little too much, right? Because we want 2 to 3 pounds a week is what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for a half a pound a week for sustainable weight loss. 24 pounds in a month. Take a deep breath, right? Because let's look at that. 24 pounds is 24 of these. 24 of these in 1 month is a lot, right? That is a lot of fat. So just be careful that you're not doing too much and it's not all muscle mass. I don't know why I'm wiggling this thing, but make sure that it's not all, you're not losing lean body mass too, right, Lisa? So that's why when you're on the Manjaro, and I don't want to be, having to coach you on that, but if you're on the Manjaro, that's why it's equally as important to do resistance training, because you're just going to lose, and realize that, when you're taking those GLP-2s, is that, what is it, right? You're pumping yourself full of leptin so that it keeps yourself fuller longer. And so you're not actually having any cravings for ghrelin, but that also means that your muscles need to be fulfilled as well. So just be careful whenever you're doing that, because 24 is a lot of muscle. That's a lot of weight loss. So I'd watch out for that. But the last thing I want to talk about is accountability, right? And accountability is something that when achieving your goals and you actually give a shit, you need. I'm a coach. I have a coach. I just told you I spent $15,000 this year on mentoring and coaching, right? If without external accountability, we let ourselves off the hook too easy. We let ourselves off the hook because if we're the only ones keeping ourselves accountable, I know damn well you don't show up for yourself, because if you did, you would already have done it. Let's be real. Long day of working, dealing with responsibilities. You just worked all day. You had to wake up early. You watched the Steeler game. You stayed up late. And then you went to work. And now you got to go to the gym because you told yourself you're going to go to the gym starting Monday. It's too easy to blow off. But if you had a coach who was saying, all right, this is the workout, this is the program, you realize that you don't have an excuse, right? Because the thing is, it's not about us being like, oh, you're bad, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's about showing up each time, knowing that somebody's holding you accountable, that you actually start to make it a habit. That's the difference, right? I think a lot of times when people think of like coaching or mentoring or anything like that, they're like, oh shit, I got to make sure that I do this because so-and-so is going to think of. No, it's because that we're trying to keep you accountable over the long haul, so we know that you can build a habit, so you show up over time. Because most of the time, if it's a good coach, they know and they can believe it inside of you, right? We know you got it, or else you probably wouldn't be the client for them, or you wouldn't be the patient of them, right? The thing is we got to be able to realize that if we're actually trying to attain the goals that we're trying to attain, whether it's health, fitness, mindset, business, whatever, finding accountability through a coach or a mentor is crucial for your success. Because let's be real, you can have all the internal motivation in the world, but if you don't have external motivation to help you get there, what's the sense? We talked about this before, right? The external motivation is what keeps you going. The internal motivation is what lights the fire. It's the fuel. You need the internal to get going, but you also need the external to help you get and bridge the gap to where you're supposed to be. So especially, I can talk about this stuff all day long, but this is something that I've had to justify and had to talk about with myself when investing into coaching. I know this is a lot of times with people, they reach out to me and it's like, Nick, I really know I need this, right? This stemmed from the conversation I had this morning with the lady who said that, Nick, I want to join your program. I want to join the Women That Win. I want to be involved, but I'm afraid of what my husband's going to think about. I'm like, damn, afraid of what your husband's going to think about you. It's not about what your husband's going to think about you. It's about what you think about yourself and what you need for yourself, right? And that's often what holds us back from reaching our goals is the fact that we're waiting for like some special sign. We're trying to hold up to some end of the bargain that we never even signed up to. But we realize the only person that's really holding us back is ourselves, right? Like once we could start to realize that, we could start to get into the, I guess I did say the final topic, but now that I'm even thinking about it, the lack of a plan, right? So when you get into it, Lisa, how much is your program? Message me and we could talk about it. We could talk about, I have programs for all different types of budgets, depending on exactly essentially where you are, right? If you need one-on-one coaching, if you already have some ideas of what you're doing, you just need some workouts, you just need some personalized, somebody to keep you accountable and watching, right? You let me know and I can get you, we make a plan because everybody's different, right? Every one of my clients are on a different program, right? You'll double your success with an accountability partner, 100%, Spalding, right? Appreciate you for saying that, right? Like double your success. And the thing is I've spent many times, because I'll tell you what, I started a business and I don't know how many of you know my story, is that I started a business with an idea, right? I was a sous chef. I was just going down. I was just cooking. Thought that was me. I thought I was just going to be a chef in a restaurant. It was paying well. I was managing people. I thought it was great. And honestly, it was great until I hurt myself. And I realized that, holy shit, I need to start doing something, right? I need to start doing something for myself because I can't be living like this. I'm too young. This is just blah, 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 blah. And so I realized that I was always making excuses for myself. And as soon as I reached out for help in business and said, you know what, I have this idea. And you know who it was? It was the free Small Business Institute, right? And it was some older lady, bless her soul, I think she passed away. Her name was Caroline. And you know what? This lady had more belief in me than I even had in myself. And I'll be real. And that's why I will always give back for free type of content, because she did that all for free. Granted, she was getting paid for tax purposes. That's what our taxes go to. But it was a Small Business Institute. And she had more belief in me than I ever thought I could actually ever have. Nick, you have a good attitude. You could change people, this, that, and the third. Lisa, message me and we can have a conversation. But the thing is if I didn't have that accountability, I would have never started the business. I would have never been able to help the people, work with the NHL athletes that I work with the doctors, work with the people, work with the general people, work with nurses, work with everybody who needs my help, right? If she didn't actually have the belief in me, because a lot of times when you have that accountability partner, like you said, it allows you to double your success because they have a plan for you. A lot of times we spend time looking for the plan. And that's one thing that I guess I'll even leave it on, is because I feel like I've been talking about this for way too long, is that you either spend your money or you spend your time, right? Which one is more valuable for you? And that's a lot of the time the decisions you got to think of, because if the time, you can figure it out, right? A lot of times, and I'm somebody who figured out a lot of things, and I still don't even know a lot of stuff, but I figured out a lot about it myself, a lot about business, and, went to school, learned how the body works, right? You need that accountability. And I paid the money for that. Now, granted, I probably could have researched all of it online and found it myself. But I decided to go back to college, get a couple degrees so that I can actually help people in a way that I know that I can help them. Because they had a plan, right? They had a plan. And so you do this, you take this test, you do this course, you take this test, you do that course, you pay your money, you do X, Y, and Z. Now you're going to pay with money. You're also going to pay with time. But the thing is you actually got something at the end of it. And that's why I encourage everybody to really think is, if you're struggling with something, what is that one thing that you could do? Because realize that you're not alone. We've all been there. I'm dealing with it right now, right? My coaching program that I just invested into for my mentor, just about, it hurt, right? It hurt the bank account. But you know what? I know in the long run, it's going to give me the tools so that I'm going to be able to coach better. I'm going to be able to be a better business person, be a better boyfriend, be a better relationship, just be a better person, right? And that's what I encourage you to think. because if you take the first step, realize that the only thing standing in the way is you. That's it. That's it. I just made 45, maybe 50 minutes to sit there and just talk about that, right? The only thing truly standing in the way when you think about it is you. And so once you can overcome that, you'll realize that the self-belief, the lack of failure, the lack of overwhelm, the plan, the accountability, unrealistic expectation, you name whatever we were talking about. I can't remember all the things we were even talking about. Is that you realize that these obstacles are all part of the journey, right? When it comes down to it. You're trying to reach something, life is going to sit there and throw every single barrier in your way because it's going to test you to see how bad you really want it. And once you realize that that's part of that's pretty much part of the program of life, that's the program of life. Nothing beats just showing up, right? Because the thing is if you could take messy action, that's better than no action at all. Messy action will get you up, get you going, and then you can find that, this actually isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And then once you start believing in yourself, all the good things happen. So I'll leave you on that note. We like to do these Mindset Mondays. I get on a tangent sometimes, but we do this every Monday, 2:00. So I appreciate everybody coming in. I'm going to save this if you ever want to listen to it again. I know a lot of my clients say, like, Nick, I always like listening to those. It's just me rambling on, but I appreciate it. And so if you're ever struggling, holler at me, reach out, because I do care about you. I do care about my clients, and I do want to see the best for you. If you are like, okay, I do, but I just met you, comment workout. You can get a free guide. I'll give you all the sauce right there just to get yourself started so you don't have to look for all the stuff. You got some workouts right there. You got a little game plan for you. If you can follow that, I'm sure you'll see success. And if you need the accountability, you want to get on the app with a lot of my private clients to make it a little bit easier for yourself, then you know where to find me. DM me, new me, and we'll reach out to see how I can help you. But other than that, people, I appreciate you for showing up. I actually got to go see my coaching call. Now I got to go get yelled at for another hour in my coaching call. So I appreciate you for tuning in. Thanks, everybody. And I will see you on the next video. Make sure you, I don't forget I think we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. I don't know what platform. I put it on everything. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. I don't know what all the cool kids say. If you got any value out of it, just let me know. Mentioned to me how we can do this a little bit better, and again, remember, this is all for you. So if we can, whatever recommendations you have, holler at me, let me know, because I want to do this for you. So let me know how we do, and I will see you on the next video. I'll see you Wednesday, people. Peace. Look at that. I think we're good. Okay, how are we on Mindset Monday down here on Facebook and on YouTube? Awesome. Hopefully you can hear me, because I know a lot of times whenever I do this Restream app, I switched from the other one and went to a new one, that it never, sometimes the audio doesn't work, sometimes the video doesn't work. So I try to give it a little different space. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you've tuned in, you're watching this, whatever platform you are watching it, I appreciate you. If you got any value, again, like the video, subscribe, follow the page, wherever you're at. And yeah, hopefully you're able to get some value from this, and make sure that you tune in for the next live streams, because I like my live streams. So